I think we can start. Good morning again to everyone. Thank you for joining the Fall 2023 Certificate in Law information session. This is a very good session to learn more about the program and how to apply for it. My name is Christina Asprilla. I will be your host for this morning. So before we start, let me just introduce the panel. So for this morning, we are joined by Hugo Choquette, the Academic Director of Certificate in Law. We are also joined by Amanda Blair, the Program Coordinator of Certificate in Law. And to share his student experience, we have Joseph Reed, the General Manager of Transportation and Operation Services for the City of Belleville, and who is also a recent Certificate in Law graduate just this year. To learn more about the program, let's watch this short video.
The Queen's Certificate in Law is Canada's only online program designed to provide everybody with an introductory legal education covering many areas of law. Whether you're interested in pursuing law school, sharpening your professional skills, or just gaining knowledge, the Certificate in Law is right for you. The Queen's Certificate in Law offers 7 courses, including Introduction to Canadian Law, Corporate Law, Aboriginal Law, Workplace Law, Public and Constitutional Law, Intellectual Property, and International Law. Successful completion of 4 courses will grant you a certificate from Queen's University. You can also just take 1 or 2 courses that interest you. To find out more about the Queen's Certificate in Law, visit takelaw.ca.
Okay. Now, to talk more about the program, we have Hugo Choquette, the Academic Director of Certificate in Law.
Thank you very much, Christina, and welcome everyone. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the program before Amanda gets into more of the details of how the application process works, and then Joe will tell us more about what the student experience is like. So I will keep my section fairly short. The Queen's Certificate in Law launched in 2017. It's the first program of its kind in Canada, which means it's the first certificate program run by a law school or a law program. And what is unique about the certificate is that it's part of the law school's mission to bring legal education to a wider audience. So it is a program designed for undergraduate students, but also for students in all walks of life, really. And we have students who are professionals, students who are in different careers who are taking our courses in order to gain the certificate or just increase their knowledge base. This slide is really just meant to highlight that as part of the Certificate in Law, you are part of the family of the Queen's Law family, and you get to benefit from many of the advantages of one of the strongest law schools in Canada. Specifically for the certificate, one of the key things is that you have law professors teaching the courses, and the courses are also TA'd by current law students. Students who are going through law school. So you get the benefit of learning from their experience as well, which is a real advantage when taking the certificate courses. Next slide, Christina. So the certificate is an online program for the most part. There's only one course that we offer in person, and that is our Introduction to Canadian Law course. But for the most part, all of our courses are online. And it's really designed to make sure that it's as convenient and flexible for you as possible. It's designed to be done from anywhere with an internet connection. And we do have students who take the courses from all over the world, really, and certainly all over Canada. You're meant to be able to finish the requirements of the course in 2 years or in 2 terms, depending on how you want to do it, but 4 courses out of our offering of 7. And so you get a total of 12 credits. And everything is online, including the courses that have final exams. Those exams are done online. So there's no need to be in person or on location at any time. There are synchronous activities, meaning activities where you have to come together online at particular times in some courses, but there is no need to be in person on campus. And again, as I mentioned, they're all taught by Queen's Law instructors and are TA'd by law students. So you get the benefit of those students' experience as well in taking the courses. And we offer 7 courses on a variety of subjects. So if we can move to the next slide, maybe, Christina. So the courses we offer cover a wide range of areas of law. We have our Introduction to Canadian Law course, which is not a prerequisite to any of the courses, but we do highly recommend that you start with that one because it will give you just a very general and good grounding in the principles of law in general in Canada. Then we have our Aboriginal law course, which looks at the interaction between Indigenous peoples in Canada and the Canadian state. And that's certainly, you know, a course that's growing in importance as well as those interactions become more prominent and continue to be important. We have a workplace law course, which again applies to anyone who works at all and who's in a workplace. And so that has wide appeal as well. And you'll find out a lot more about the law of work. We have a corporate law course, which will discuss what business structures are out there and how businesses are run. We have a public and constitutional law course, which deals with many of the most important issues of the day, you know, from political issues to many of the issues around rule of law that we're currently seeing in both Canada and the United States. So another very interesting course. We have a course in intellectual property, which might be of interest, particularly to those of you who are in the creative field or the scientific field, because it will deal with things like copyright and patents and all those things. And then we offer an international law course, which deals, of course, with public international law, which is the law that governs relationships between various states. So all of these courses are currently offered. They're offered in various terms, and Amanda will talk more about that. But you need 4 of these to obtain your certificate. Next slide. So why take the certificate in law? Well, you know, we like to think that everyone should have a basic understanding of law in order to function in modern society. You know, law is everywhere around us. All you have to do is read the news or, you know, look at any sort of ongoing current issue to know that law has some role to play in it. And certainly having a better understanding of law will make you a better citizen. It's also great for professional development. So whatever career path you're on, you know, whether you're interested in pursuing further legal studies or not, having the certificate in law will provide you with that extra qualification that will make you, you know, one step ahead in your professional field, whatever that is. And it's also important, just, you know, in general, to be to stand out in a competitive environment where, you know, it's an extra credential that you can show to potential employers. Sorry, go ahead, Christina. And finally, who takes the certificate in law? Well, people from all walks of life, as I've already mentioned. We've had graduates who have gone on to fields in education, to jobs in education, for example, in government and politics, business, engineering, have gone on to law school and to pursuing a law career, or arts and media companies. And Joe, who's here today, is one of our students, one of our graduates, who's going to explain how the certificate helped him in his professional career. So that's pretty much it for my part, but I'm happy, obviously, to answer questions, and I want to thank you again for participating today.
Thank you so much, Hugo, for that. Now we have Amanda Blair, the program coordinator of Certificate in Law, to talk more about the program structure and the admissions process.
Thanks, Christina. So we're going to start today by discussing the program structure of the Certificate in Law. First, we'll do what's known as our on-campus and distance students. So these are the students who are currently on campus or completing a degree. Either way, they're completing a degree online or on campus. And this is the way, because you're able to take 2 courses and count them as electives. So your first 2 courses you would take at the 200 level. You are assessed your home faculty tuition fees. There is an option to substitute one of the current courses at Queen. So Commerce 382 can be taken in lieu of corporate law. EMPR 210 is in lieu of workplace law, and Philosophy 318 is Philosophy of Law 318 is in place of any of the courses at the 200 level. So we can't substitute any of these courses for 700 level courses. They do have to be for a 200 level course. So after you've completed those, the next step would be to complete the 2 courses at the 700 level and at the Faculty of Law tuition rate. So the other thing to note about this is that these 700 level courses would be in addition to completing your degree requirements, but they will not count towards your degree, but they are counted towards the certificate. Yeah, I think that's it for this slide then. Oh, and sorry, yes, they are included in the GPA. That's the one I wanted to say. Yeah, so the 700 level courses don't count towards your degree, but are included towards your GPA. So this is for external and non-degree interest law students. So you would actually have to take all 4 courses at the 700 level. And as Hugo noted in one of the other slides, there is no, there's no recommendation of when you have to take the courses. No courses are required, but we do recommend that you start with the Introduction to Canadian Law. Now, the path for interest students would be, so there is no supporting documentation that would be required when submitting your application. But you would just have to meet academic progression to progress into the program. So you would complete your first 2 courses, and as long as you receive a grade of C+ or higher in your first 2 courses, you'll be automatically matriculated into the program. You do not have to reapply or anything. It's just something done through our office in the Faculty of Law, and we will notify you once you've met this level, and we let you know that you're in the certificate in law. Just one other quick thing to note is that for all students, at the end of each course, when the grades are released, if you do not meet the academic progression of the C+, you will receive an email just letting you know that you'll either have to retake it or you will have to enroll in another course. So the offerings, so we try and offer the courses at least twice per term, with the exception of a few of the courses. So fall and the fall coming up, there's Introduction to Canadian Law. So on-campus students do have the option to take it in class, so on campus, in fall and winter term. And then it's also offered as an online course. The other courses in fall term are Aboriginal Law, Corporate Law, and International Law. And then in winter of 2024 is Workplace Law, Public and Constitutional Law, and Intellectual Property Law. So on the top, it shows the summer of 2023, but generally that will be the courses that are also available for next summer as well. So the next, the biggest question we get is the cost. So there is a $100 application fee. This is made payable at the time of submitting your application, and it does go to undergrad admissions to process your application. So if you're as I mentioned, if you're a student on campus, whether that be on campus or online, completing a degree, your 200 level courses, you would be assessed at your home faculty tuition rate. For 700 level courses, for a domestic Ontario fee, it is $1,134. And if you do want to check fees outside of Ontario or international fees, you can go to our website, takelaw.ca, and go to the About page. And about 2/3 of the way down, there's a chart with the tuition fees. Also a link to the registers, the Office of the University Registrar's website, as well as a link to the student awards. If you wanted to look, if you're interested in applying for financial aid. So students are eligible for part-time financial aid. At this time, interest students are ineligible. So if you are an interest student, you would not be able to apply within your first 2 courses, but once you're in the program, you could apply for the last 2 courses that you're taking. The other thing to note about costs is course material, so textbooks. So of the 7 courses, 5 of them have mandatory textbooks. You can purchase it as a electronic or hard copy through the publisher, through the campus bookstore, through a third party. Just ensure that you're purchasing the correct edition. And those textbooks range anywhere between about $75 and $130. And just to note, Aboriginal law, so 202-702, and Public and Constitutional Law, 205-705, do not have mandatory textbooks, and all of the readings in that would be included right in the OnCube course page. In terms of admissions, the criteria for this is as long as you've completed at least 1 year of studies at a recognized university and you have a minimum GPA of 2.6 or higher, you would be offered admission into the certificate in law. For students who have gone to college, a 2-year diploma or 2 years of a 3-year full-time advanced diploma, you need a GPA of 2.9 or higher. In terms of the interest category, no supporting documentation is required. However, candidates must be 21 years of age or older at the time of submitting the application. But as long as you submit the application and meet that criteria, you will be offered admission as an interest student. So the applications for fall 2023 do close on August 1st, so that is next week, and then will be closed after that time. And then just as a quick note, winter term applications start, but they don't start until October 1st.
Okay, thank you so much, Amanda, for your information. Very helpful. So now we have Joseph Reed, the General Manager of Transportation and Operation Services at Belleville, who is also a Certificate in Law graduate and will be sharing his student experience.
Yeah, well, good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to, thank you guys for attending. And you know what, I want to commend each and every one of you that's here. There's quite a few in attendance today, and I can't believe the interest. You know, the reality is you guys are taking your future in your control by being here, and that's important. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and give a little bit of background and kind of roll into how I got here and how I enjoyed the program. So I'm the General Manager of Transportation and Operation Services with the City of Belleville. I work full time. I have a wife. I have 2 kids. I coach their hockey. I have a farm. I teach part-time at Loyalist College. And I'm also the Vice President of the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors. So just in context, I have a busy life, and you know what, I absolutely love this program that I just got done finished taking. My background, I have a 3-year civil engineering diploma, unrelated to law. I have a 1-year postgrad in HR, unrelated to law. And I was looking for something else to, gave me more learning. As you many will know, or maybe don't know, that law is all around us, and I do deal with it every day at work, from employee relations to how with the workplace, my workplace is governed, being the City of Belleville, contract law, and our obligations within our contracts, to abiding by our laws in general. Each and every one of you, might have entered into a contract today and you don't even know it. Going to Tim Hortons and buying a cup of coffee is actually entering into a contract, that offer, acceptance, and consideration, which is the basis of contract law. You went to the Tim Hortons drive-through and you ordered it. I remember that one slide in that little video that was in the one section in corporate law. And you know what, it made me sit back and think, wow, it really is. Law is all around us, and it affects us and so much. The certificate in law program really has covered it all for me, and it really seemed to be the best fit for me to pursue further learning. So myself, I ended up taking 5 courses of the 7. I took the Introduction to Canadian Law, the Aboriginal Law, which I absolutely loved, and gave quite a bit of context in the fact of how we are as Canadians and so forth, workplace law, corporate law, and public and constitutional law. So I ended up taking 5 of the 7, and I absolutely loved each and every one of them. And I quite frankly apply each and every one of them in some different context in my workplace all the time. We talked about textbooks. This is on my desk all the time, the law work. It is literally on my desk every day, dealing with different staffing issues, how I want to adapt to different things. I have in this corner the Introduction to Law textbook that I took, and you know what, so many times I refer back to it. And I'm going to just give you near the end of my little speech, a little case study that how I've applied what I've done. So I decided I was going to do 1 course per semester. For me, because of my busy lifestyle, that's how I adapted it. It did take me 2 and a bit years to do the program based on taking the 5 courses, 1 per semester. And I elected personally not to do it during the summertime based on the fact that I knew I wouldn't be able to give it my full and honest, support and needed ability. The professors and the TAs were absolutely amazing. I mean, Hugo, Amanda, anytime you had a question, whether it was silly or more of a legit question, she was always there to answer. The TAs were great. very organized. I've taken different online learning, being a teacher at Loyalist College or professor at Loyalist College, I've, used their Blackboard program and so forth. The D2L program they use as a platform to actually apply the learning here is top notch, and it's very user friendly. So if you are nervous, even how are we going to do it, it's very user friendly and easy to get along with. Navigate software, and Queen's nailed it in my opinion. And full disclosure to everybody listening on this, Hugo nor Amanda has heard what I was going to say today. They asked me to speak, and I did not go through, or they did not point me in any direction on what to say. So, but I do want to share one example. Amanda spoke briefly of the cost, and approximately $1,100 per course. When you factor in, the 4 courses is mandatory to graduate, it's, $4,400 plus your application fee and the books, you're looking at approximately $5,000 over the course of, 2 years for myself. But, in one instance, one problem, so to speak, I saved, and I want to say because of this course, I saved the city of Belleville $7,800. And, right there, it's well worth it. I'll give you a little example. In this winter, around December, we got an email from a local Ford dealership, and it wasn't in Belleville, so you don't have to, it's outside of Belleville. That we had put a tender out, and we were looking for a Ford. It was like a 1-ton pickup truck, and we put it out for a contract. An RFP went out. The bidder submitted a fixed price contract price, and we agreed upon the price. I took it to council. We issued a PO, a purchase order. We had given them the order, and about 6 months later, Ford requested a price increase of $7,800. So that equated to about 4% additional funds that was going to be cost in the city. And, it didn't sit well with me, because the reality is, we entered in a contract. The basis of contract offer, acceptance, and consideration. And, those were all agreed upon. We had a fixed price contract. Through this program of corporate law, I put together a problem, identified the problem. We put together the facts, and then from there, we then had the analysis, and then our recommendation on how we were going to move forward. And, then from there, I was able to apply some of the principles around, do we have a duty to negotiate in good faith? And at what point should the doctrine of frustration be considered? And those are all the facts. And, just for the context of learning here, the doctrine of frustration is the law that excuses a party for performance of a contract. So I was able to, look at the pros and the cons, and, how we do that. And again, I looked into and I researched around, where the typical profit margins are for dealers. I ended up having in getting the opportunity to present this to the head of corporate for Ford Canada. It didn't just go to the dealership. I ended up talking to the head, and basically I talked about all this type of stuff. I put this on the table, and then again he then noticed that, hey, look, I knew what I was talking about, and they were in breach of contract if they didn't fulfill the truck, or fulfill the obligation of giving us this truck. So we had a talk, we went through it, and then he then tried to negotiate, and I said, very point blank, I said, what I again reiterated, we're not negotiating. It's, either you're in breach or you're going to fulfill the contract obligations. Within 2 days, they wrote back and said, we will fulfill the truck contract at the agreed upon price. So I felt good about the information I learned with the certificate in law program. I was able to not only, again, learn about it, but I was able to apply it. And, we were able to save the city. And again, I represent the taxpayers of the city of Belleville and our community. So I felt good that we were able to utilize. And, this is just one example. I mean, I could be quite honest with you, list other examples with the employment law courses, the introduction to Canadian law principles that you learn. And again, these books are on my desk because they're there, and having that knowledge of how to apply it has been really good. So I mean, while you're sitting back there and saying, you know what, I'm not sure if I can do this. You know, you're busy. You have a lifestyle that you know, isn't very conducive to taking on extra courses. My response is this. You know, if there is a will, there is a way. And you know, I'm more than happy. I'm on LinkedIn. It's pretty easy to find me. More than happy. Send me a direct message. You can even send me an email at jreed@belleville.ca. You know what, at the end of the day, you're in control of your own future, and this will help you both personally and professionally. And yeah, I'll pass it back to the floor.
Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your real life experience. It's very insightful, and we're happy that you were able to apply your learnings to your job for certificate in law. So thank you for sharing that. So just in the interest of time, we are now opening the Q&A session. The Q&A box is open, so please feel free to type in your questions, and then the panel will be answering them. So let me just check it now. We have a question coming in. So I think this is for Amanda. Once you're accepted, how can you enroll? And how do you know if you're in 200 level or 700 level?
So once you've accepted your offer, say for example, you accept your offer this afternoon at 2 p.m. You do have to wait for the system to update. So you usually have to wait until the next day. So by the next morning, you'll be able to enroll in your courses. If you're an on-campus student, we do recommend, and so do all the faculties, commerce, arts, and science, that you start with your 200 level courses first. Before you take the 700 level courses. You'll know, like if you're an external student and you attempt to enroll in a 200 level course, you're going to get an error message that says you don't have access to these courses. So when you're looking in them in your Solus, you'll see there, you can see them, but as soon as you attempt to add them, you'll get an error message. And also, once you've accepted your offer as well, you do get a welcome letter from the Faculty of Law. So it'll come directly from me, and it'll gives you information, important dates, information about how to access courses, link to the student registration guide. Highly recommend students use the student registration guide through the Office of the University Registrar, as there is tons of information and tutorials on how to add classes, swap classes, drop classes, check your enrollment appointment, whatever it is. There's a lot of information in there, and I highly recommend that everyone review that.
Great, thank you for that answer. Again, this is for, I guess, Amanda. How long will it take to take a full-time course?
So this
or I
program
guess this will be the program, yeah.
Yeah, so this in general, the program is a part-time program based on the fact that it's only made up of, we have 7 courses. It's comprised of 7 courses, but we only expect students to complete 4 courses or 12 units because they're 3 credits each. So we tell students it's kind of dependent on your schedule. Like Joe said, he took it, one per term. Some students complete, some students can complete in 2 terms. Some students take 2 years. It's totally dependent on your schedule. You don't have to take courses every term. If something comes up, health issues, personal issues, whatever happens, you're able to defer up to about 4 terms before anything will happen.
Okay, thank you. I will direct this next question to Hugo. Can I choose some immigration law courses as part of this program?
So I'm not sure if you're referring, so we also run another program at Queen's Law, the Graduate Diploma in Immigration and Citizenship Law, and that is a completely separate program from the Certificate in Law, and I don't believe that you can take those concurrently, so you can't take courses from both programs at the same time. However, if you just have a general interest in immigration law, we have some courses that will touch, we don't have an immigration law course per se, but we have some courses that will touch on really important principles for immigration law. Notably the public and constitutional law course will address some issues around, some of the issues around immigration and the international law course as well. That's how sort of immigration law fits into the certificate program, but it is a different program from our graduate diploma in immigration and citizenship law.
Thank you, Hugo. This is again for Amanda. When will we know if we are accepted?
So we do recommend, and admissions will tell you the same thing, to just keep checking your Solus under your admissions. I think it's my applications it's under. what students see, because that's what I see. So we see something a little bit different. So I think it's my applications, but it'll be under the admissions tile, and you'll be able to keep checking. So it will take a few weeks. So it'll say pending. And then once you've accepted your offer, it'll say your offer's been accepted. And then there'll be a little box that you can check to say that you want to accept your offer.
Thanks, Amanda. This next question I'll answer. Is this program online or in person? So most of the courses are delivered and designed for online learning. So they're mostly online. There's only one course that is offered in person at Queen's University, and that's Introduction to Canadian Law. So for Intro to Canadian Law, you could either take it, for Queen's students, you could take it on campus, but for everyone else, you could take it online. So the next question is, I think I'll give it to Hugo again. Would this program help differentiate us with law school admissions or help further our professional careers?
Yeah, so I think the answer might be both. So in terms of admission to law school, obviously they would look at a whole host of different factors, including, there's an admission exam, the LSAT, which you may know about, which all prospective law students have to write in most cases. They also would look at your general academic background and success. So it's an entire, it's one piece. However, I will say that the one thing that the certificate will do is prepare you for what you'll be doing if you do get to law school. When you get there, it will give you a really good grounding in the things you're going to be doing, particularly in first year of law school. And we have had several of our graduates that have gone on to different law schools in Ontario, including at Queen's. So it's always nice for me because I also teach in law school law students. So I get to teach some of our graduates as well that have gone on to law school. So it's definitely an advantage that way. But it's important to remember that it's only one piece of your application to law school. So it doesn't guarantee you admission, obviously, but it is a helpful tool. And then in terms of your professional career, I think, Joe just spoke really eloquently to that. I think it can be very helpful, no matter what career you're in, to help you, within your own career path. And to advance your own career goals.
Thank you so much, Hugo. And just to add to that, if you're a student, it could complement your undergraduate degree. So it's always connected. Law is always connected to every major program out there. So it's good to have a foundational knowledge of law. The next question is for Amanda. How competitive is the application process? Is there any flexibility to the minimum GPA admissions? Example, if someone is slightly below the minimum.
So unfortunately not. So admissions, it's a pretty strict, if you're, as we mentioned in previous slides, if you've at least completed at least a 1 year recognized university, 2.6, in college, 2.9. As long as you meet that criteria, you will be offered admission. If you're slightly below, but you're an external student, if you don't meet that criteria, then I do recommend you apply as the interest student because no supporting documentation is required. And then after you complete the 2 courses at academic progression, we can move you so that you can get into the program and to complete the 2 remaining courses and then get the certificate.
Thank you, Amanda. So I think Hugo briefly answered this question earlier, but the question is, how will the certificate align with my plans to attend law school? So I will angle that question a little bit. If you're already in law school, how will the certificate help you?
Yeah, it will definitely help you by preparing you for what you're going to be doing in law school. The same kind of problems, even same kinds of questions you're going to be getting on law school exams. The same, lots of the same topics. The other thing I should point out, which I didn't mention earlier, is that it's a good way of knowing whether you think law, if you have an interest in law, but you're not sure if you would want to do it on a day-to-day basis, taking the certificate is a really good way of finding out whether you do really have a deeper interest in this, or whether it's something that you don't want to end up doing. So it's a good way to find out before you get into law school, because then it obviously it's a little bit more of a commitment. So that's one great advantage of the certificate as well.
Great, thank you, Hugo. This is for Hugo or Amanda. I'm out of Canada and I'm considering online courses. Since there is a time difference, I'd like to know the schedule or arrangement, whether those classes can be, if there are recordings for those classes. So for those people outside of Canada, will they be able to watch the recordings?
Yeah, I can speak to that. And even in Canada, when you're in different time zones. So the courses really are designed for the most part so that you can do them on your own time and you can choose when you want to do the course. So the learning videos are, you can watch at your own pace. They're online, the materials are online, and you can work through them more or less at your own pace. So there are some due dates within the courses. So sometimes you have assignments that you have to due by a certain date, obviously, but within that timeline, you're free to do it whenever you want. Now, there are synchronous activities within the courses. So I'll give you an example. In the Aboriginal law course that I teach, we have a negotiation simulation activity. And those are times that, as a group, you're going to have to come online at a particular time, which, depending on the time zone you're in, might be at a sort of a strange time, or not a great time for you. But the idea behind those is, for most of the courses that have them, you register in for those times before you take the course, so you know when those sessions are going to take place, like what time and on what day, so you can plan around that a little bit. But for the most part, it's designed to be done at your own pace.
That's
Yeah,
great.
might I add to, the group assignments and the working with the groups, like, again, not all of them are just you go and do the assignment. You got to do a lot of prep work. Well, not a lot, but a few group sessions with your team. And one thing I found is everybody wants to work together because we all want to be successful and learn. And, so if we knew that, and I know in one particular situation, we had somebody that was working night shift. So they weren't necessarily always able to, that traditional, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or whatever. So we would work and say, look, can you get up at 7 p.m. Or we'd meet at first thing in the morning when they were getting off shift, and that way. And it's similar to different time zones if you're living somewhere else. So if there's, again, going back to the analogy I used earlier, if there's a will, there's a way.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing that. In line with that question, the next question will be about the schedule of the classes. When are the classes scheduled, day or evening, and are there lectures? So that's for Hugo.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there aren't really lectures per se. There are courses. So in our Introduction to Canadian Law course, for example, we have what we call applied learning sessions, and those are times that you log in with a group. But again, you choose those before you take the course, so you know when it will be. But for the most part, the materials are online for you to review at your own pace. And as Joe mentioned, there's some group activities where you have to coordinate, but usually people are pretty flexible with those.
Perfect. Thank you for that. The next question is for Amanda. How many courses can you take per semester? I have a certificate in social and labor law from the University of Quebec in Montreal. Is that enough for me to register?
So first, I'll just, for the how many courses can you take per semester, as it's the part-time program, you're kind of doing it at your own pace. You can choose if you want to do 1 course per term, 2, 3. We have some students that do 4, very few do it because it is quite a commitment. We do tell students that, it takes about 7 to 9 hours. You're, expected to invest on average about 7 to 9 hours per week per course. So that can get pretty heavy if you're taking all 4 courses and, you're working, family life, personal things going on. So just take that into consideration when you're enrolling in courses. As for if the certificate is enough to register, no, certificates are not able to be used for the admission criteria. It's based solely on the university or, a degree or a diploma on that. Again, if you don't meet the criteria, then we highly recommend that you apply as an interest student because no supporting documentation is required.
Thanks, Amanda. The next question is actually related to that. Can you elaborate more on what it means to be a non-degree interest student?
So the non-degree interest student just means that you're not in the program currently. You don't meet that admission criteria to be in the program directly, but what it does mean is that you're still able to take the courses. And again, once you've met or completed the first 2 courses at academic progression, which is a minimum final grade of C+, you do not have to reapply. We will send you an email once you've been matriculated into the program so you can complete the 2 remaining courses.
Thanks, Amanda. So just to add to that, if you're in the interesting category, you could just take 1 course and try it out, see if you like it, see if it works for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Then,
some students don't want to be in the program, right? Like some
Right.
students only want to take Aboriginal law or public and constitutional law. They're just taking it for interest purposes. So we have those students too that don't want to be in the program. So they apply as an interest student just to take a course or 2.
That's great. And that's a really good opportunity to test out the program and see if it's for you. The
Absolutely.
next question I think has been answered. It's about the timing of the courses, recorded lectures. I think Hugo already answered that. The next question is just to clarify, what's the difference again of 200 level and 700 level? Do I need 4 700 level courses to get the certificate?
It depends on what category you're in. If you're an on-campus student completing a degree, you can take the courses, 2 courses at the 200 level. So basically the only difference between the 200 level and the 700 level, 200 level courses are for on-campus students that want to take courses as electives towards their degree program. So they're able to take the 200 level courses as electives. And then so that on-campus student, we need 2 courses, 200 level, 2 courses, 700 level. However, if you're not a Queen student, you're an external student to the program or as an interest student, then you are required to complete all courses at the 700 level.
Thank you for that. This next question is for Hugo. Will the certificate be a stepping stone for non-law background applicants to apply to the immigration law program?
So again, I mean, it depends what you mean by that. In terms of the application process itself and the admission procedure, that's something that you have to contact the Graduate Diploma in Immigration and Citizenship Law about. Again, they look at your entire academic package. So the certificate in law would be just one piece of that. But in terms of preparing you, if you have a non-law background for the legal aspects of the Graduate Diploma in Immigration and Citizenship Law, yes, it would be helpful. Because of course it will give you that background that you will help you be successful and understand the legal concepts that are introduced in that program. So it will give you an advantage in that sense. So it doesn't have a direct impact on your application, but it does make it so that you will have certainly a better understanding of the topics and concepts that will be discussed in that program.
Thank you, Hugo. So we have a couple of minutes left and we'll go through the remaining questions. This is for Amanda. Can you please explain how external students can be eligible to get the certificate?
So if you're an external student and you want to apply to the program, as long as you have university, as long as you've completed 1 year and have a GPA of 2.6, or you've completed college or have a 3-year advanced diploma in college, you would be eligible to, as an external student, to get into the program. And if not, then no supporting documentation is required and you can apply for the interest category.
Thank you so much for that. The next question is, do interest students get the certificate after completing the course?
Sorry, say that again, Christina, you cut out.
Yeah. Do interest students get a certificate after completing the course?
So the interest students, so as we said, once you've completed the 2 courses, you're matriculated into the program, or you can complete the 2 remaining courses. So for all students in this case, as soon as you've completed the 4 courses, you can apply to graduate through your SOLAS. That goes through to the registrar's office. There are 2 convocation ceremonies, one in the fall, one in the spring, and you can apply to graduate, and you can either attend a law ceremony on campus or you can have your certificate mailed to you.
Perfect. Thank you for that. This next question, I'll address it to Joe or to Hugo. What can we expect from the law courses in terms of load requirements and assessments? So I think for Joe, it's firsthand experience. So you could answer that.
Yeah, I mean, my experience was that it did vary week by week. But the assessment of, I would say probably on average, I mean, again, depends on your work, like how you read, how quickly you comprehend the material, and stuff like that. I would say I average about 5 hours a week. But I think, to be prepared, you should average at 7 to 9, but I think every learner, and again, we're all adult learners in some retrospect. So people, do read and learn differently. So myself, I would average 5 hours a week. There is a reading week through each semester, which gives you a little bit of a time off to get caught up, and so forth. So And again, the format is so flexible. I mean, again, if you can't log on for a couple days during the week and you need to join on a Friday night, instead of going out with your friends, you can do that. It's very conducive to again, people with busy lifestyles. And if you're a full-time student or a full-time worker or that, it's very flexible.
Thank you so much, Joe. Hugo, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think that's actually great, and it does really depend on your own work or learning style as well. So, yep.
Great, thank you so much. We are actually out of time in terms of questions. Sorry, we can go through them, but the other questions I believe have been answered in previously by the panel. Just one question here: what is SOLAS? That's for Amanda.
Yep, so SOLAS is the student center. So once you've submitted your application, you're going to get an email from admissions within, I think it's about 3 to 5 business days after you've submitted your application. And it'll give you information on how to activate your net ID. So once you've done that, you can log in. This is how you check your application status. This is where you go to add your courses. This is how you can check your grades. It's all your information about your entire, the law courses, where you add them. You can see everything on there. So it's in there too. You order transcripts from there. So it's just your own student center where you can access that. And there's a lot more information on this in that student registration guide, which can be found on the Office of the University Registrar website.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And the other question is, will we be sharing the deck? So we will be sending an email with resources, which includes the recording to this webinar and other resources about the program. So that concludes our Q&A portion. Thank you so much to the panel for answering all the questions. And thank you so much to all the attendees for being here and for joining us this morning. So for more information about Certificate in Law, please visit our website at takelaw.ca. Please follow us on Instagram at Queen's U Certificate in Law, as well as please like our Facebook page at Queen's Law Certificate. There will actually be a one-on-one appointment drop-in session from tomorrow until Friday with Amanda Blair. So if you have more questions and you would like to book an appointment with her, please go to takelaw.ca/contact and book your appointment there. You could also sign up for our mailing list through that site. And for other questions, please email lawcertificate@queensu.ca. Thank you so much again to everyone for joining us this morning. Hope you found this session insightful, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.